palmetto sky. Friday night's calling and the towns go quiet. From Doug Shaw Memorial to John McKissick Field, Carolina football, it's the heart we feel. Pickup trucks line up, tailgates in a row, hot stadiums rocking, Abbeville's ready to go. The Sumter Gamecocks charge, Gaffney's standing tall, every small town's dreaming neath the lights of fall. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. In Gilbert, America, the bleachers fill with pride. Cheerleaders shout, the band's playing, no one's staying inside. The boys in pads hit hard, chasing that old dream. Under stadium lights, it's more than just a team. Mamas clutch their programs, daddies yell the calls, grandpas talk of legends in these hallowed football halls. From the low country marshes to the upstate's clay, four-quarter Friday lights the Carolina way. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. Shaw's roar to McKissick's sacred ground. Hot stadiums fire, you can feel the sound. Sumter Gamecocks fly, Gaffney holds a line, J-Mo run the dang ball, we're screaming for a sign. Rivalries burn bright, the clock's ticking down. On four-quarter Friday, we're the talk of town. When the whistle blows and the scoreboard fades away, the lessons from the field guide us every day. Teamwork, grit, and pride, it's more than just a score. Carolina football's what we're fighting for. From the PD rivers to the upstate's misty hills, four-quarter Friday gives our hearts a thrill. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. So here's to the Palmetto boys, giving it their all on a four-quarter Friday. South Carolina stands tall.
Hi, my name is Jordan Balance. I'm in 11th grade and I'm one of the junior captains. I started running track November of last year, my sophomore year in high school. A goal that I set for myself would be making sure that I work on my technique a lot throughout my events and make sure that I'm working hard so that I can contribute to the team.
Off-season training has been pretty tough. We're working really hard, doing weights, conditioning. My name is Larry Davis. I'm an athlete at Blythewood on the track team, and I compete in the 400 meters. I started in 8th grade running for Team Blaze. I ran 1 year there. Coming the next year, I played a season of football, and then after football season, I came my 9th grade year, and I started my first season here at Blackwood, running track here. They're all very welcoming. It's like a family here. Yeah, they're always here to motivate me, especially when I'm not feeling as well. They're always here to motivate me, just push me through practice when I need it most.
So I started track around 7 or 8 years old. A good friend of mine, she told me to come try out. So I ran like the club circuit, AAU meets, USATF. And then in 7th grade, I joined Blythefoot High School and ran for the high school. And I did like a lot of sports before track, but when I started track, that's when I kept running. So I'm currently in 11th grade, and I love Blythefoot track. Like, I really do love this team. When I first started in 7th grade, I didn't really know what to expect coming in, like running with high school and just a new environment. In 7th grade, I won the 200-meter dash in the state championship, and I got second in the 400 and 4x1, 4x4 relay teams. We got first in those. 8th grade, I got injured, so I didn't really get to run in that many meets. Being injured was tough. I got injured. We had just finished high school season, the state championship, and I ran in the AAU state championship meet. I was running the 4x1, and I was like at the last, like almost at the finish line, and I just I fell, and I just knew something was wrong. Got the x-ray, and I had a pelvic avulsion. So I fractured my pelvis, and I had surgery, most of physical therapy. I would say don't try to have it all on yourself and be like, I have to get this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this for me. But I got back with the help of trainers, and I was able to come back. The main thing is to trust God's timing, because He's the main one that's going to get you back, and just be patient and just, trust the process and trust God.
Coach, you said 7 to 8 steps?
Okay. It's like a track team, but we're also a family. So it makes it easier when you can root on each other. The energy really goes off to the next person, and I think that's why we've been able to just dominate at the state championship and just all meets across the state the last few years. We have a really great team, and I think the work that no one really sees the work that we do in practice, but they see at the state championship and how we're doing so great. But it really starts really in the fall. We train hard. We have great coaches. We just train, and we've been able to do really good. Our head coach, Coach Alicia, she's phenomenal. She, as a former athlete herself, she really knows all about track and field. So she'll even show you the drill that you're supposed to do and do it better than anyone. You'll be wow, we're not doing it right.
Coach Alicia, she really pays attention to her athletes, make sure that everybody has a specific she knows everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and she tries to help us overcome some of our weaknesses, but she really pays a lot of attention to a lot of the teammates.
Having a coach like that to help you and guide you and show you what's right, and she does so much for the team in all groups, because we have a really big team, and so for her to just be able to go into each individual athlete and have each individual athlete progress, it makes the whole team better.
I'm a Coach Alicia Hawkins, head coach of the girls cross country, girls track and field, and boys track and field. As a daughter of a track coach, he's a legend here, Coach Matthew Hawkins, Lower Ridgeland High School. I started running track when I was 11, and ever since then I've been hooked onto it. I mean, I grew up also a good athlete at Lower Ridgeland High School, winning state championships, regions, and all that kind of stuff. And high school, we went on to South Carolina State. I was also all conference in the MEAC conference, and then I did a little running after college, and then after that, I had my daughter, Brianna Green. She's another legend here at Blythewood. And then I guess around 2019, I became the head coach here at Blythewood. My first year here, I think we got 34th place in the state, and then every year I think we went up to number 12, then we went up to number 9, then we went to 5, and I believe then we got second, first, and first. We all know once you step your first day of practice or conditioning, we're here to work. Everyone knows that even the new athletes, I mean, sometimes it's overwhelming. I see it's overwhelming for a lot of them, but the coach was like, we're welcome. We welcome everyone here. Even if you're a 15-second runner or if you're an 11-8 runner, we want everybody here. We want everybody to be safe, happy, healthy, and, you know, mentally ready to compete. The first kids I ever coached on the high school level were guys, so it was something that was, you know, already, you know, instilled in me. So I became the boys and girls track coach after, you know, the success that the girls team had. I was approached by the athletic director and the principal at the time, and they basically asked me what would I feel like, you know, kind of, you know, they had a hard time finding a boys coach. They were like, well, what do you feel like, you know, just taking over the guys? And I was like, I just said yes. I would say the discipline of the boys have really changed over the years. I mean, because they needed someone to like really, you know, pour into them. And the more I poured into them, and then the more they started to see, hey, coach really cares about me, she really wants to do good. And that's when they really decided to start to buy in. And then once I started to combine the boys and the girls together, it seemed like everyone, like the girls were celebrating the boys were celebrating the girls. So it's just like, I actually like it better that way, because it just creates, you know, it creates a dominating atmosphere. And that's always been my goal, just, you know, just to be dominant. There are a lot of boys because I think the boys really put out, just to be honest, the boys have put out, I would say more than the girls. It just always came up short because there just wasn't enough, you know, depth there. But as far as we had Josh and Jacob Gary with that team, with the 4x4 team, my first 4x4 team, that scared a lot of people in South Carolina. Those with Josh Gary, Jacob Gary, Caleb Kelly, and Amir Jones. That was probably one of my successful relay teams Blythewood has ever had. I mean, they were a record team here. I'm going to say Jalen Grant. He's been a captain since he was a sophomore, and he was just one of those kids that just waited his turn. And when his senior year came, he just, you know, blew up. We also have D'Angelo Brooks. He was another one, like current record holder. And he's currently at Claflin University. Oh, Darren and Daryl Robinson. When they came out last year, they only year ran track at Blythewood. They really turned the program completely around. I'm blue biased, but the first, I would say my daughter, because Brianna Green, because she's a current record holder in the long jump and 4x1, and she had to give up a lot of her time for me, for athletes, and she was okay with that. Also, Haley Duncan, she's currently at University of South Carolina. She graduated in 2023. She was another family member of mine. Her family, you know, they just bought into my system. Also, Ariana Williams, she's at University of Iowa, and she was another great from Blythewood. I mean, she's on that 4x1 record team, and on that 4x1 record team, and she like has always been all-state. I mean, she's won individual titles in the 400 and the 200s, and she was a, you know, very good captain for the team. It is an expectation to win 4 in a row. Well, I don't talk a lot about the winning aspect, but I do talk about not losing. I mean, that'll go over a lot of people's heads when you say those type of things, but there's a difference between thinking about winning and just not losing. Because when you don't lose, there's so much more to gain from not losing than it is just to win.
Welcome to Four Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Talking South Carolina high school sports every Friday morning, and proudly presented by the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. With weekly appearances from coaches, players, and media around the state. Let's go! kick off the first quarter. Happy Friday!
Welcome back to the Four Quarter Friday show, and I am joined by our new co-host, Matt Smith, otherwise affectionately known as Smitty, as some of you might know. And Matt, we are back from holiday vacation. We have a lot to get into today. We have 3 guests. In case you're not used to seeing Smitty with me, that is because this is his first episode as the new co-host of the Four Quarter Friday show, and Justin had to resign or retire from the podcasting game or the show game that we have. He got a new job. We're super happy for Justin, and he's going to go help our whole state of South Carolina in the Attorney General's office, so we couldn't be more thrilled for him. But Smitty, welcome. Tell us our viewers a little bit about your background if they don't already know you.
Well, first of all, I hope my contract is as good as Justin's. Did he not get a big buyout? Did he not negotiate a buyout Lane Kiffin wise on the way out? Are you still paying his salary even though he's moved on?
Well, unfortunately, we are not in it for the big bucks. So we were able to give him a nice high five and handshake. And in fact, if there was anything, he had to buy his contract out because he's the one that left, right? I mean, that's typically how those things work.
Okay. Well, you
go to the University of Washington quarterback. I mean, he signed a contract, and now it looks like he's going to have to stick it out.
Well, Justin did a great job. Yes, yeah. For those that don't know me, I've been working with Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut the last few years, and we are aligned with the Chief Sports Network. So happy about that. We really appreciate everybody. I go way back with some of those guys, and that's how you and I met. And I was listening. Sorry, by the way, I'm in Huntington, West Virginia, covering the Coastal Carolina women's basketball team. I'll be broadcasting with them tomorrow. Details to come. But sorry, that's what the noise. I'm at a Marriott. Looks pretty nice back here, right? That's a future sponsor of Four Quarter Friday, the Marriott Bonvoy Group. But I've been working with Sports Talk. You and I met. I already was a fan of the show. I already appreciated what you and Justin did. So when a seat opened up, just like we're going to talk about these high school football openings, there was an opening. And I said, hey, this is already a program with great tradition. Not multiple state titles, but that nouveau riche, right on the scene, new car smell you guys have. And you and Justin did a fantastic job. And so all I'm going to do is be your caddy, carry your clubs, try to club you here, and just keep doing what we do. So anybody that's been watching the show and keeping up with what you guys did during football season, we're just going to try to keep that same energy.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover today, Smitty. And maybe while you're there, you can get us a Marriott Bonvoy Continental Breakfast partnership to come and be a partner on the show. We know you probably hit up that Continental Breakfast this morning. But we're going to be talking about wrestling first off, right off the bat. We're going to have Coach Kyle Kimry from White Knoll High School. He's been helping, coach wrestling in this state for as long as I've been in the industry. So at least 15, 16 years. So we're excited to talk to him. We're going to have John Combs, the AD at Spring Valley and longtime basketball coach, joining us to talk about basketball in the Midlands. And then we're going to have Cole Bryson on from 97.7, I believe, the Fan in the Upstate. And he's going to help us cover basketball in the Upstate. And so our new format is going to 90 minutes. And that is going to give us more time to dissect some of these massive sports, girls basketball, men's basketball, wrestling, for the winter. And then when we get to the spring, as you saw to begin this episode, we had the Blythewood track and field documentary that was self-produced by Blythewood Track and Field, and I thought it was fantastic. to be able to show that the work that they did really well done, and to highlight more stories like that throughout the year, throughout the school year, because we're not going to be just a high school football show. We're going to be a high school sports show. And so we're aiming to bring coverage and stories to you throughout the rest of the year for all the sports as best as we can. So, Smitty, before we get to Kyle, we got a few things to go over to kind of tie up a little bit. We got some loose ends to tie up football-wise. There's a lot of coaching openings happening, and we're just going to kind of briefly run down the list. AC Flora, Ken Floyd stepped down. So they're looking for a new coach. Chapin's Ryan Cole stepped down, so they're looking for a new coach. Colleton County, Conway, Lake Wiley hired the great Nick Pelham away from White Knoll for a brand new school that opens in 2026. Liberty, McCormick, Marion, May River. That one surprised me a little bit. Coach Bonneville's done a great job, and he took over for Rodney Summers, who did an amazing job starting that program, who also started the Westwood High School program. And we're going to talk about Westwood, I think, a little bit later for basketball. 96 is open. North Myrtle Beach is open. St. James is open. Sumter just opened. Union County was open and now hired before the break, actually. Brian Robinson's going to be the new head coach over there. Wagner Sally, Whale Branch, White Knoll, as I previously said, Green Sea Floyd's, and then BHP is open as well. Smitty, you live in the Myrtle Beach, Horry County area. There's 4 openings in Horry County.
Yeah. If we kind of go bottom up, so I've got a long history in the upstate as well. I just want to, Union County, I know they've fallen on hard times. I know that community has been shedding population and the school's been shedding enrollment, but I still have to believe there's athletes that exist in Union County. So that's one that I'm going to be interested to see how that works. You said it's Coach Robinson that took that job? Has just started taking that job?
Yes, Brian Robinson. I believe he's been there for a while.
Okay, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to follow up on that because Union County's always been a program that has produced athletes very much like Sumter. So there's a program, tremendous tradition. They lost Coach Barnes. He said he wanted to be closer to his family in Charlotte, and I mean Sumter, they're still up in enrollment. I don't know what their region is going to look like when the dust settles on realignment, but I think we all know what Sumter has done over the years and the access to athletes that they've had. Now, in terms of where I live, down on the Grand Strand, and I covered Socastee closely the last couple of years. St. James is Socastee's sister school, and it split off from Socastee some years ago. It's their main rival, their chief rival. I think that's a good job. I do think that's a good job. Now, there's a little bit realignment's going to shake things up down on the coast for those of us that affects. You've got Conway moving down to 4A with St. James, North Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach all going to 4A together, and 3 of those jobs are open. North Myrtle, Conway, and St. James. So that will be fascinating because they're all going to 4A together. So they'll still play each other. So it won't affect necessarily their record there, but then can they have more playoff success, which, as you know, a lot of the reason these jobs are open is because lack of playoff success, not taking that next step. So I'm fascinated by that. And Conway, that's another program very much like Union County and Sumter. You just have to believe there's something there. Now, there wasn't. They were not buttoned up as a program for whatever reason. I'm not laying that blame at the feet of anyone, but that one to me looks like Conway. It's very much, that one town, one team mentality that you get going. You've got it in Gaffney, you've got it in Sumter, you have it, you know it well. They've got it in Conway. So much pride there. They look at us against the world because it's apart from the rest of the Grand Strand. It's inland. But they have such pride in that one town, one team. I think there's there's access to athletes there at Conway. I think it can be turned around. I think Sumter's a great job. I don't know about Union County. I haven't lived in the upstate for several years now, but I just have to believe there's guys walking around those hallways. I know they were 1-10 a season ago, but there's guys walking around those hallways that can play. And a lot of those jobs that you mentioned, you can tell us more about them, some of those in the Midlands, because realignment is shaking up so much of this that some of these jobs that may not have been historically great jobs now are going to be a little bit easier to win, pick up some wins based on what your region looks like now, and vice versa as well. Some teams that maybe we're used to seeing win a lot of football games, they've been edged up. And of course, there's been, we know the high school league still has to hear out the appeals, but there's some leagues that are some teams that are moving up into 3A, moving into 4A or 5A, and things are going to get a little bit stiffer on them, and the playoffs are going to be a little bit harder, and the travel may be more difficult. And some of those jobs that you mentioned that are closer to the Midlands, you can tell us about, whether or not, is it fool's gold? Is it as good a job as it looks like? Because winning is good, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and we're going to be able to get into that a little later in January. We actually, Smitty, I think maybe we might record a little bonus episode to cover some of the other topics. But we have some guests lined up. We're going to go to a quick break, and after the break, we're going to bring in Coach Kyle Kimry from White Knoll High School.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com.
Do your wood floors need a touch-up? Visit recoatrevolution.com in South Carolina today. Welcome back to Four Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Let's talk ball.
Welcome back to the Four Quarter Friday show. Smitty, we have Coach Kyle Kimry joining us today to talk wrestling. And, something that I was thinking about over this that short break is we're going to have to come up with a new theme song to open the show because it's no longer football season. And now it's time to talk about what's happening out on the mat and the court because we're in winter sports thick and heavy right now. Coach, welcome. We don't hear you quite right now. Let's see. Are you on? Let's see. You might be are you on your computer? All right. Hey, Coach, why don't you join in on your phone? I think Lexington One's Wi-Fi gets a little funky with the microphones permissions. So
Is this a Lexington firewall?
yeah, something about the firewall. They've changed a lot over the last couple of years with that system, and as you know, they have to be super strict when you have student data in your network and all that kind of stuff. So he's going to rejoin here in a second, but we're going to be talking wrestling. And Smitty, just to kind of go over some of the team rankings as of December 20th, I believe that's the latest I could find on scmat.com, which is a great resource for those of you who are talking about wrestling. We got Carolina Forest at 1, James Island at 2, Clover at 3, Somerville at 4. It's not surprising to see Somerville ranked that high. Stratford at 5, Ashley Ridge at 6, Burns 7, Rock Hill 8, Blythewood 9, and Fort Dorchester 10. So that rounds out your top 5 of 5A Division 1.
Yep.
Coach, do we got you now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear.
Yeah, Steve, you're in the wrong neck of the woods there, buddy.
Well, I got to throw some props to my alma mater every now and then,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, that's
I
true.
try to take the bias out, but it sometimes it creeps through the seams, the cracks there. But man,
Yeah.
tell real quick, let's talk about White Knoll Wrestling. How's the season going so far? What kind of growth are you seeing from your team this year? The weight classes that you're excited about moving forward into region play.
Yeah, so we got a pretty young team. We only got 3 seniors in the starting lineup. So in wrestling, there's 14 weight classes that you got to cover from, 106 pounds all the way up to 285 pounds. And so, we only got 3 seniors, and we love our seniors to death, but we're really excited about our entire lineup, to be honest. We don't really have what you would call those horses right now that are going to like, hey, man, that guy's going to go win a state championship this year. But we have a bunch of guys that are just pretty good. And hopefully they can continue to get better and kind of start, making a name for themselves. We're a better dual team, which in wrestling means, you go head to head against another team and it's your 14 versus their 14. We're working on becoming a better tournament team, which is, how you perform individually in tournaments and pushing through, tough brackets. So, we get a chance to do that this weekend at the Blue Devil at Dreer High School, where they're going to have about, I think, 36 to 40 teams there, and give our kids a chance to push through some of these big brackets individually. So the season, we're 10-3. We lost a close one to Somerville in the first week of season. It came down to the very last bout in the duel, and they ended up, I think it was tied match, or they might have been up by 1, and they ended up winning that last match. So we're 10-3. We're doing pretty good. We're 2-0 in the region, and we got Irmo next week, and then in 2 weeks we got we'll be where you're sitting right now, Steve.
So let me ask you this. So, you mentioned the Blue Devil. Where can we go to? Where can a fan or some of these parents that might not have a team or a son playing or daughter, because now we got girls wrestling in this state.
Yes, yeah.
A lot has changed over the last just even 5 years. Where can we go to watch some of this? Is there any streaming availability for this tournament?
I don't know if this tournament's going to have streaming availability, but most all the tournaments you can stream online, whether you're following the match, whether it's like the icons and it's showing the scores pop up. Track Wrestling is a big website, but everybody's kind of using Flow Arena. So Flow Sports, Flow Arena does wrestling. We have a guy in our state, Todd Polly, who sets up a bunch of tournaments for our state. And what you can do is go to Flow Arena and you can go into the actual tournament and you can follow your team, your wrestlers, and see how they're performing. You may not. It just depends on the tournament if they have the technology available to have cameras mat side. Some of them provide a live stream, but most of them at this point do not. But you will see it you will see it at the state tournament, live stream. But SC Mat's a big one to follow the results in Max Preps as well.
Coach Kimry joining us here on Four Quarter Friday talking wrestling. Coach, how has Carolina Forest built this program? I saw they won a state championship a year ago. And look, I go way back when I remember Rock Hill kind of started this renaissance of wrestling in our state of South Carolina. But now there's talent everywhere. How did the coaches disperse? How did it all happen? And how did Carolina Forest rise to this level?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it stems from feeder programs. So, back in the day, it was Rock Hill and Somerville, and then Dutch Fork came along with Beatty LaPrade, and it was those 3 schools, and they were heads above everybody. And then our state in general just has a lot more coaches, a lot better coaches. But would you talk about Carolina Forest in general? They have a club down there called the Carolina Reapers. And there's some other good clubs in that area, but they just have a lot of good wrestlers that have been wrestling for a long time. And it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was something that they've built and sustained through consistency in their youth and developed it through their middle schools and into their high schools. So, and you're seeing that all across the state where there's just good clubs around the schools, especially in the North Carolina, South Carolina border line, the Charlotte area and also the Clemson area. You'll see a lot of schools kind of prevalent in the rankings in that, and it's a lot to do with the availability these kids have to wrestle year round.
Coach, you and I kind of both grew up in the Columbia area. You went to Dutch Fork, I think. I went to Lexington. Lexington and the Columbia area or the Lexington Richland area has had a strong wrestling background. So when I was texting you last night, I was like, man, it's really weird not to see any Lexington County teams in that top 10. That's not something I'm used to. And you kind of explained a little bit about how wrestling has changed over the last 5 or so years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to travel. You got to be able to have the resources to go around the country, wrestle year round, and if you're not doing that as an individual, you're falling behind. And a lot of that is the days of just showing up and wrestling 3 months out of the year and being successful. Like Rock Hill could do that, back in the day with all those athletes. If they tried to do that in today's age, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't. They'd get out wrestled and outmaneuvered by kids that have been wrestling and traveling and competing against a lot of the best kids in the country. And honestly, it really goes back to what we talked about with the Carolina Reapers and Carolina Forest. Those kids getting those youth programs and they're wrestling the youth season's crazy. They wrestle more tournaments and more weekends than our varsity kids. And so these kids come up like, yeah, those kids are wrestling hundreds of matches in a season, and that's just a season. Who knows how much they're doing in the off season. But so, yeah, it goes to, you have to have the resources, you have to travel, you have to be dedicated to getting more mat time than what's provided during your high school season.
Coach Kimry, what about specialization in wrestling? You talked about it because it's not something you can't just be a good athlete and do it, because you just mentioned technique, and anybody that's played around in the backyard, messed around with a guy that was a high school or collegiate wrestler knows they could tie you in a pretzel. So how much time do you need to spend? How do you target the athletes? What's your feeling on specialization wrestling in the off season versus letting those guys go play maybe football, baseball, and then come back into your program?
Oh no, we want all our kids to do multiple sports. It's still a thing where you do your sports and stuff, but you still need to find time to go get some tournaments in. As far as getting the athletes, ideally you want them as young as possible in this sport. But you can still take an athlete as a 7th grader, 9th grader, develop them through the fundamentals, and they can still become a state champ. Wrestling doesn't discriminate against anybody. You've seen, Anthony Robles, he won the NCAA tournament with one leg. You've seen, we've seen blind wrestlers wrestle. We've seen, I've had even, a wrestler who was autistic and nonverbal, and he wrestled at the varsity level and was, a 50-50 wrestler. So wrestling is a unique sport where, yeah, you have an advantage if you start early, but if you're willing and you make your mind up that you're going to be good at this sport, you'll be good at it. There's no stopping you.
That's awesome. I didn't know that, Coach, that you had an autistic wrestler. That's really special. Coach, one thing we want to talk about, trying to a little bit about the whole state, and before we let you go, we gotta get you to talk about a little something that you told me about and sent me a picture on. But so, there's a name that the wrestling community knows very well, and that's Derek Strobel, former
Yes.
wrestling coach at Lexington High School for years, and now he's at West Oak, and I'm not surprised to see West Oak under the leadership of Coach Strobel being ranked number 1. Tell us a little bit about 3A right now. I see West Oaks 1, Palmetto 2, Ainer 3, Powdersville 4, BHP 5, just to kind of give you the top 5 off the bat.
Yeah, usually, it's West Oak and BHP going at it early in the playoffs, and those are they've always been the premier teams in 3A. and they usually have that battle early in the playoffs instead of the finals because they're both upper state. But Palmetto's really kind of risen lately. They got a really good coach, really good program, but West Oak, I don't want to speak early, but I think they're hands down, one of the best teams in the state. Doesn't matter what division you're talking about, 5A, 4A, 3A, whatever. They live and breathe wrestling there, and so it wasn't surprising when Strobel left Lexington take that job because Coach Strobel breathes wrestling, and so he got to go to a school that all they want, all they do up there is wrestle, and they got some really good assistant coaches too at West Oak. So Strobel's I'm happy for him. He's doing his thing up there, and kind of glad I don't have to coach him. Coach against him. 10 miles away. So
Yeah, absolutely. We got the 4A rankings. Let's go back up a little bit. We already covered 5A at the beginning.
yeah, you got May River, May River, and
May
Travelers Rest. Yeah,
I'm not
May River.
surprised to see May River there, Coach.
No, May River's been, May River always was there. Always, you kind of finished in state runner up behind East Side. East Side moved up to 5A, and May River's ran by Ashley Powell, who's a good friend of mine, and first class coach, and he does a great job down there. And they finally broke through, won their state championship last year, and I would imagine they're going to be the favorites again this year. We went down their tournament over Christmas break, and they got a solid program. He put 2 teams in there, and their second team was beating a lot of the first teams that were down there. But yeah, Travelers Rest, I think are they ranked number 1?
For right now, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, and we wrestled Travelers Rest the past 2 years. We won't wrestle them this year, but I tell you what, I love the way their kids wrestle. They are physical, and they enjoy just punishing people. So it's no surprise to me that they've jumped up in the rankings because we've wrestled them the past 2 years. I think we won one, they won one, and it was just like a dogfight. It was a fun match to watch. Just those kids are tough at Travelers Rest.
Yeah, I'm seeing too, number 8, we got Aiken, and wrestling is a little newer in Aiken County than
Sure
other
is, yeah.
areas of the state. And South Aiken, I know really good, has had a few good years too, getting kind of deep into the dual playoffs as well. Coach, when did the playoffs start?
So we'll start. I think January 31st. That Saturday is the first 2 rounds of playoffs. You'll have some host sites. They'll host 4 teams and host the first 2 rounds of playoffs, and then it's a grind that whole week. So, a lot of weigh-ins, a lot of wrestling in the dual state, and then after that you go to individual state. So, yeah, January 31st.
All right, to finish up the boys wrestling across the state, Coach, 2A and 1A are kind of together because there's not enough teams and
Yeah.
from across those divisions.
One word, Chester.
Chester's number 1. Yeah,
One
that
word.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, their coach does a phenomenal job. We wrestled them this year, and it's one of the most athletic lineups I've seen, and they can and they can wrestle. Like their fundamentals are great, and they beat us pretty handedly, and we don't have a bad team either. So I know Chesney's pretty good, and 96 and Liberty. But I don't know if anybody's getting by that Chester team.
Well, I'm not surprised to see Clennon's doing pretty well too. I think they're having a good season so far.
Yes.
Coach, one of the things we want to encourage everybody to do here is we don't want to just share all this information. We want to encourage them to go out and in your case, see a meet, see a match, get out there. So maybe if you haven't been a wrestling fan, tell us, because I've been many times. And one of the things I know about it is you don't have to know anything about the sport to get into it right away, because it's a great atmosphere. There's so much energy in the building during a wrestling match. So if you can, tell us what it's like, when you get there and how much fun you can have.
Yeah, so it's 2 different environments. You have the dual environment, which is, in my opinion, more fun for the fan. You get to see the team score. You get, every match matters. The kid not getting pinned could be the most exciting part of the match, so that makes it fun. But as far as if you want to go see a match, go to a dual meet to start off with, like a Wednesday rival match. in 2 weeks we're going to wrestle at Lexington, probably under their light and their old gym, and it'll be a fun match for the fans to come out and watch and see two crosstown rivals, go at it, and in the team part of it's just fun.
Wait, now, Coach, did you avoid cauliflower ear? Are you still pretty?
I'm not pretty, but I did avoid it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wear your headgear, right?
Yeah, yeah. I always wore my headgear. Coach LaPrade, B.D. LaPrade was my high school coach, and he had these ugly ears, and I was adamant I did not want those.
Well, before we let you go, Coach, I mean, tell. I was just
All right, hey,
downloading.
Steve, before you go there, I would like to spend just a minute on girls wrestling, if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. I actually thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Attention on doing it. All right, well, let's go over the top 10 for girls. Actually, let's go top
Rock Hill.
11. Rock Hill girls at number 1, Greenwood at 2, River Bluff at 3, Blythewood at 4, Northwestern at 5, Chester at 6, Bowling Springs at 7, Chesney at 8, Gilbert at 9. There's your Lexington County.
We beat them twice this year.
Oh, and well, we're going to get down to you, Coach. We got 11. We got y'all at 11. So, and you beat number 9. So these things are very fluid. Tell us a little bit about the sport of girls wrestling now. Is it how is it different?
No, it's still wrestling. It's wrestling. It's fundamentals, and the girls who are wrestling with the best techniques and fundamentals and toughness are winning. And you see that with Rock Hill, and Rock Hill's got a team with a lot of experience. Girls wrestling, the ones that are traveling wrestling a lot. They're, I think, hands down the best team in the state right now. But girls wrestling is the fastest growing sport in our country. And it's not even close. Colleges are adding girls programs left and right. There's more scholarship opportunities for our girls than there are spots almost. So it's exciting to see our state's really taken off with the girls wrestling. We see it in our hallways. We have, last year we started a girls team, a sanctioned girls team. We had 16 girls come out and not one of them quit. This year we have about the same numbers. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's different for me to have to coach girls. The dynamic's a little different, but it's still wrestling. It still comes down to toughness, technique, and, be able to be disciplined.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, the best coach I ever had growing up was a female. So, I mean, toughness, girls are pretty dang tough, so
yeah.
That's awesome to see, man. Before I let you go, though, let me share a image that you sent me last night.
Oh, Lord.
Let's see here. You're going to have to tell us about this. We have our man here. And I don't know if y'all can see that good, but Coach Kimry got to
I'm
play
the short
18. Guy. Yeah, 18 with number 18, the one and only Peyton Manning over the break. Tell us about that.
That was cool. His son's attending Baylor School in Chattanooga, and so he's playing football for my brother Eric. And so Eric called me on a Sunday night and was just like, "Hey, we're gonna go play Friday. Anyway, you can get up here and play with us." And we had the Silver Fox that Saturday, so I was like, "Oh man!" And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll make it work." So ended up leaving practice Thursday and then driving up there in Chattanooga, play golf with Eric Payton and Chris Angel, the headmaster at Baylor. Great time. Peyton is who he is. You see him on TV; he's the same person off, and it was a special treat.
Did he cry? Did he cry Omaha when he made a birdie?
No, but we did have some Omaha stories. He uses Omaha as like a check down. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, man, thanks for joining us. We'll have to have you on here again sometime soon. But good luck the rest of the way, and man, keep those kids grinding.
Yeah, will do. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Coach.
Man, that was cool, man. So that's just a small taste of wrestling that we're going to hopefully bring you to bring coverage to you and the rest of the state. And it was awesome to talk about girls wrestling. And as things start happening and unfolding the storylines, Smitty, we're going to have a lot to talk about when it comes to wrestling in South Carolina.
No, that was real fun. That's a real man right there. And as you said, how cool is it that he went out, played 18 with number 18, spent some time with Peyton Manning? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe that will be a storyline. We'll get one Peyton Manning story a month from Coach Kimry too, with our wrestling update.
One of the things I wanted to know is, like, is he as funny as he is in his commercials and in his YouTube, or not, maybe not YouTube, but just the way I guess they do a watch party almost on ESPN, and that he always comes across as hilarious there. Great sense of humor. But Smitty, we're going to go to a quick break, and after the break, we're going to go to John Combs, the Spring Valley AD, and we're going to start talking basketball in the Midlands after this quick break.
It's football season. The Barn Dominium Company wants to help you build your dream home with your dream space to watch the games and entertain your friends and family. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com for floor plans, photo galleries, locations, and to learn more about us.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Check the statewide high school scoreboard every Friday night on the Chief Sports app.
This is Four Quarter Friday, hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall, taking a deep dive into high school athletics in South Carolina every Friday morning. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Four Quarter Friday show, and it's me and Smitty today, our new co-host. Smitty, we're about to dig into basketball here in a second when John Combs joins us, but we got a little bit of time, and I kind of wanted to bring up something that me and you talked about at length this week, and that's the transfer portal of high school sports, and it's here, and it's currently kind of active right now after football season, and I'm not going to name the schools or the coaches or the kids, but now I'm starting to see transfer graphics from school to school, as you might see inside of college football right now, very much so. And I just, it kind of grinded my gears a little bit. It's like, this is not something I want to see in high school. And then I saw a coach retweet it. I'm like, man, this is, we got to get away from this, especially as adults. I mean, it just points to be, I don't blame the kid at all, Smitty. He's emulating, or they might be emulating what they're seeing across the college. And of course, that's crept down into all the social media stuff, which is great. And all that stuff is good because it gives an excitement to the high school game, no matter what sport you're talking about. But, wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Something I thought was too much of like a me mentality and not a we mentality.
No, you're right. I think it's concerning. And again, you're talking about social media and a player putting up their own graphic and then like an arrow that I'm transferring to another school, which is what you see collegiately. And that, when the transfer portal hit, and it's, as you said, it's self-promotion. And look, I think sometimes many of us that have been covering college, high school athletics for a long time, we feel like we're on a runaway train, and that almost it's better not even to address these issues because there's nothing you can do about it, right? We feel helpless at times. We all see things that we don't like, and then we talk among each other, and then publicly you don't want to say too much, because what we like to do is elevate athletes, celebrate athletics. That's why we do it. We didn't do it to complain. That's not how anybody got into this business. That's not why coaches were there. No one wants to complain and say, get off my lawn. I liked it better the way it used to be. Although my colleague, Phil Kornblut, has made a bit of a cottage industry out of it on Sports Talk, just railing against NIL and the transfer portal. But as collegiate athletics has become more like professional athletics, so high school athletics has become more like collegiate athletics. And I do think it's incumbent upon us to always take a deep breath and ask, is this the right direction? And there's two ways to look at this. Yes, it is a runaway train. You can't stop it. I can't stop it. Kids are going to self-promote on social media, but there are adults, and we just talked to one. All these great coaches that are in kids' lives, they are the last barrier. It is up to them. It is incumbent upon them to be good role models. And every now and then, you had coaches like this. I had coaches like this. Adults sometimes that aren't your parents that come and put their arm around you. Maybe they saw you post something on social media. They saw you say something at school. They see you act a certain way. And they have to remind you, that's not who you want to be. Mm-hmm. Let's take a deep breath. Let's take a step back. Let's try to look at this from a different angle. And sometimes it takes a coach, not your parent, in order to do that. And so what you're talking about, again, is you said me, not we. I think when you talk about transferring from one high school program to another, what we all want to see is we want to see that done for the right reasons, and we don't want coaches luring players from one program to another. So to me, it's always, you ask, who's the adult in the room? And I'm right there with you. And I don't think anybody disagrees with you. I don't think anybody would say, oh, that looks like a good thing. I think what we have to determine is, how do we communicate with young people to let them know that, remember, let's keep high school athletics special. The reason this show exists, the absolute reason this show exists, is not because high school athletics is like college athletics. It's because it's unique. It's its own entity. And let's keep high school athletics right where it is, and remember what's great about it. One of the things that's great about it is all the lessons that you learn, and the lesson that you learn should not be about self-promotion and the best way to get clicks on social media. It should be about what you can do for your teammates, because that's what you'll remember. By the way, take it from the old guys. Take it from the old. Let me give you a quick quote, and I'll send it back to you. But Bill Curry once told me in an interview, he was an offensive lineman that played for the Green Bay Packers, blocked for Bart Starr. And we asked him what it was all about. And he said, sports is about playing for the guy next to you. And I think anybody, as they retire, when they go back and look at their career, whether you stopped in high school or college or professionally, they all say the same thing. They all say they miss the locker room, they miss the other guys. And so when you self-promote and you talk about yourself above the team, above and separate from the team, you're not learning the lesson. You're missing the whole point, because we all do this for the guy next to us.
And to kind of piggyback on that, man, I mean, there's a lot of kids, there's a ton of coaches that are doing it the right way, because they do know, like, they're not going pro. They might not go college. They're doing it for those memories, for those bonds and relationships with their brothers and their sisters, that, going through the adversities, learning those life lessons through sport. And And I'm a coach. There's a football coach that I was talking to in the Columbia area, and we were sitting there talking about it, and we're like, man, this is really one of the last frontiers to bring up, and for this sport in particular, it was football, to bring up boys into young men and to really mold them in that way. And this is a window in how difficult it's become as a coach and all the new things that they have to deal with. And so they got a tough job, and what we're trying to do is highlight those coaches and those programs that come from these communities. And with that being said, we're going to bring in Coach John Combs we got here. Coach, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. I enjoyed hearing what Matt, Steve, everybody was saying here. There's a lot of great stuff. I thought I was going to talk basketball, but I can get here and start preaching on some of those things that y'all are already doing. I was about ready to start giving up and start throwing it down.
John, I don't think I've ever seen you when I haven't gone and seen you, say at the state championships or something. And without the bow tie, I'm thrown off. I was anticipating the bow tie.
No, I'm no bow tie today, but it's still, if I'm wearing a tie, it's going to be a bow tie. I don't even think I can tie a regular tie now.
Well, Coach, man, and glad to see you again. Back before the season started, we were able to preview the season. Now we're well into it and starting to get into region play. I mean, tonight we got a ton of games. We'll go over maybe a few of those here in a second. But before we get to the boys, let's highlight the girls' teams right now. Let's talk about a little. I'm going to just read down some of the rankings real quick. I'm going to go top 10. Actually, for time's sake, we're going to go top 5 just to get through this so we can hear like almost a season review up into this point for Midlands basketball. We got 5A Division I girls, Burns at 1, Spartanburg 2, Lexington 3. Shout out to my alma mater and Molly Goodrich there. Malden at 4, Wando at 5. Then you got 4A, or excuse me, let's go to 5A Division II. Goose Creek at 1. No surprise to see Goose Creek up there. They're always solid, really great program down there. North Myrtle Beach 2, Gaffney 3, Berkeley 4, Irmo 5. Class 4A, we got Camden, Westside, North Augusta, South Point, and Daniel. To do the top 5, Class 3A, we got Oceanside, Walhalla, Dillon, St. Joe's, and Keenan. 2A, we got Clinton, Atlantic Collegiate, Andrew Jackson, Landrum, and Kingstree. In Class 1A, we got Military Magnet, North McBee, Lee Central, and HKT, Hunter County Tyler. So that kind of rounds out like a brief recap of where we are thus far in the new updated state rankings. But Coach, tell us a little bit about the review so far of what's happening in basketball across the Midlands.
Well, I will tell you, in girls basketball, it's another phenomenal year. It's interesting on the 5A side, Division I. The one you didn't mention that was in the top 5 was Blythewood. Blythewood sitting there at number 6. They're our defending 5A Division I state champions. We saw them Monday night here at Spring Valley when they played, and they're clicking on all cylinders. They're one of those that, if I'm going to say they're underranked in that poll, if I'm just being honest. They're in my opinion, they're underranked because they played some really, really good competition early and lost some close games. I mean, I will tell you what, there's not 5 teams better than Blythewood this year in girls basketball in Division I, but they're starting to click and play really, really well. I mean, I would love to see, Blythewood and Lexington go at it at some point. Molly Goodrich has mentioned she does a phenomenal job. So you got the Lexington background there, so I can tell who you're pulling for. But that's a fantastic gym, by the way.
Well, that is my alma mater, so I try to be as unbiased as possible. But yeah.
I can see the unbiasedness there.
He keeps a picture of Demetrius Summers in his pocket at all times.
Yeah, that's right.
Demetrius Summers, he whipped us one time when I was at Ridgeview. Now we got him one time too, but he was so talented. There was so many. That Lexington gym. I got a couple of great memories, and I've got some awful ones. as well. But, Keenan right there at 3A girls basketball, I mean, they're kind of sitting right there where they can compete with anybody. Coach Reggie McClain, Hall of Famer. I'm anxious to also see, there's not a ton of Midlands action in 2A girls, but, man, there's a lot of really good teams going on there with Clinton's playing well, Atlanta Collegiate. Landrum beat Spartanburg the other night, which I know that was a big win for Landrum. There's just a lot of good basketball to be played. Ridgeview's playing real well right now. Aaron Lucas is doing a really good job with that basketball program. So I'm excited to see how Midlands basketball on the girls' side turns out this year.
And Coach Lucas came from Lower Richland, I believe, and did a phenomenal job over there. And now you have Coach Debbie Stroman's daughter now leading that program. And we talked a little bit about that before the season started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our coaches, especially on our girls' side right now, is really strong at a lot of different places, and we're getting in that next generation. I mean, I can remember when Morgan was in high school, when Aaron was in high school, of course, making me feel really, really old. But it's good to see that pedigree of high-quality players. And to your point, to some of the things that y'all were talking about earlier, those are all people that I would trust with my coaching my kids, that I think would try to instill the right things to the young men and young women we have in high school athletics right now, because it is a crazy time to be a part of scholastic athletics.
Coach, we have a big game coming up tonight. I believe it's tonight. Yeah, Lexington, number 3 Lexington is 12-2 on the year, and they're going to Irmo. Coretta Ferguson does a great job, and they are sitting at number 5 and 14-4 on the year. What do you see coming out of that game?
I tell you what, I think I'm so impressed really with both programs. I mean, you're talking about two of the better women's coaches we've got in our state, not even just the Columbia area, but our entire state. Talks about people that work hard. Coretta, it was funny when Irmo played here earlier in the year at Spring Valley, and I had a chance to talk with Coach Whipple, who came over to watch his former team play, and they were just saying how hard Coach Ferguson works there at Irmo. I mean, there's times they get there at 5 o'clock. She's already there working, and she's on our SCBCA board. She puts in a lot of work and effort. And same with Molly Goodrich at Lexington. I mean, she runs one of the best high school girls basketball tournaments in our state, works just really hard in developing a program. So that's one of those games, if you're a basketball fan of basketball done right and what's good about high school athletics, see those two teams match up. And because it will be high-level basketball, and they will really compete. My initial gut is Lexington might be a touch better than Irmo, if I'm calling it. Of course, it's funny I'm saying I'm an Irmo graduate, so that I probably shouldn't say it like that. But that's what I see. But I think Irmo's still really good. It'll be a fantastic game to watch.
We got one other game I wanted to highlight too, Coach. I'm looking at number 6 South Florence 12-1 traveling to Darlington, who's 12-3. Darlington has historically been really good in both men's and women's basketball. Do you have any insight in that? I know it's kind of outside the Midlands a bit, but what do you know about these two programs?
Well, I will say I don't know a ton about them, but I know this. You want to talk about a probably good environment for high school basketball where it will get intense. You want to go see some intense basketball. Go up there in the PD region. Anything with Darlington, South Florence, those two, going at it, they'll certainly be, you get your popcorn, sit down, because there could be some crazy things that tend to happen there. I think it'll be another fantastic matchup, because that's the thing about right now we're in region play. There's so much on the line. This is where people are trying to make their stamp and make their claim that, some of these rankings right now, honestly, they're tough because it was early. You don't know who they're playing against. You didn't know the injuries, who was there, who wasn't there. Well, now you're in the meat of your schedule. And so people are wanting to say, all right, if you're that good, I'm going to show you I'm that good. And this is where I like to really see how do people play in the early to middle part of January. And I think that'll be a good test for both teams.
Another game to highlight, too, that's coming up. It's big. If you're in the Aiken area, I know you have this one circled at number 3, North Augusta, 11-1 on the year, traveling to South Aiken to play a 9-3 squad over there. Al Young does a phenomenal job. How many state championships? I've lost count at this point. Coach Young won at North Augusta. Man, I'm really excited to see what happens in that game.
Yeah.
Moving on to the boys' side, Coach, we're going to talk. I'm going to give the rankings here. We'll work from 1A up to 5A Division I here. Class A boys, Bethune-Bowman number 1, Horse Creek Academy number 2, C.A. Johnson 3, Carvers Bay 4, Calhoun County 5, 2A Liberty, High Point, Andrew Jackson, American Leadership, and Chesney. For your top 5 at 2A, 3A, Christ Church, Loris, Fox Creek, Keenan, St. Joe's. 4A, Gray Collegiate, North Augusta, May River, Wilson, Crestwood to round out your top 5 for 4A. And then 5A Division II, we got Greenville at 1. Not surprising there. I think you know that coach pretty well. Westwood at 2 with a huge win over Ridgeview recently, 64-61 with a big game that happened in the last week. Riverside at 3, Fort Mill 4, and Goose Creek at 5. Don't know if I'm related to Coach Hall, but Coach Hall's been there for a long time, does a great job. 5A Division I, you got Dorman 1, Ridgeview 2, Cane Bay at 3, 4 is Ashley Ridge, and Dutch Fork 5. Coach, we're going to start talking boys now, and I know Smitty had a question for you on this side.
Well, Coach, I just wanted to ask maybe your emotions. Westwood pulls what some people thought was an upset over Ridgeview, and of course that game, just so many emotions. And of course you coached at both of those schools. So how did you read that one? And is Westwood? I guess I can't say are they for real. Just how good are they? They're absolutely positively for real, but how good are they?
I will say this, I am certainly biased on many different levels. First of all, Westwood was the last school I came from before becoming the athletic director at Spring Valley High School. And these guys, a lot of them that are seniors now at Westwood, were guys that were freshmen in our program my last year there. And when I left Westwood, I really thought this senior class, that class of freshmen that are now seniors, had a chance to be special. And I was certainly really excited for Coach Trent Robinson, who played for me at Ridgeview, now the head coach at Westwood High School, that he's having the success that he's having. You know, Ridgeview came off of winning a national tournament in the Arby's Classic. And when those two played, Monday night, you just knew that's a Titan clash. Those are, this is one of the weird things in 5A where you have split hybrid regions where it might actually be easier to win a state championship than a region championship, because you got Ridgeview in that region in Division I, Westwood in 5A Division II. So for those two to go at it like they did, and Ridgeview got off to that game 12. It was a 12-0 start, and Westwood fought back in it, and then I think Westwood was down 12 in the third quarter, and that's just one of those games that when those two compete, when they're doing really well. It's such a great environment. It's also great for the athletic directors too, because you sell a lot of tickets and you get some money out of that. It's also nervous too, because you got such good crowds and great vibes in there. But when you have two of the better teams in the Columbia area within our own Richland School District too, that was a fantastic matchup. And I love seeing what Coach Josh Daly has done. I mean, winning the Arby's Classic like they did, that's a national event. That's not just a local event. That's a national event with high level teams. I had a chance to go to it back in the day when I was at Irmo High School, and it was one of the best run events out there. So that was certainly a great time that those two played each other. And I'm looking forward already to the next matchup at Ridgeview, because Ridgeview certainly won't sleep on for sure at all.
Coach, can you give us a little bit too of a recap of what's happened thus far in the Midlands for basketball for the boys' side?
Well,
what do you see?
You're seeing, I mean, I don't think there's any real shocks. I mean, you're seeing Ridgeview be who I thought Ridgeview would be. I thought Westwood would be, pretty good. That's going to be another battle. Sumter is playing really good. They're kind of one of those, depending on if you call them Midlands teams or not. I consider them a Midlands team. Irmo's having a really good year. Coach Alex Quillen in his second year there at Irmo. I mean, they're ranked number 7 in our 5A Division II poll. I mean, they're playing really, really good, right now. the interesting thing too, this is where, guys basketball always fights football early on in December, and sometimes you don't have your players. And I haven't even mentioned Dutch Fork yet. Dutch Fork High School is so good. I mean, they're ranked 5th, and they might be underrated in the Division I poll. I saw them earlier in the year as well, and that was before they had a football player or two. And Coach Brett Jones does a phenomenal job there. I mean, he returns most of the guys from a team that only lost a handful of games last year. They're playing really, really good. I mean, that's going to be – I mean, if you were to tell me that, Dutch Fork's in the Final Four or, playing for a state championship, that's not going to surprise me as well. Keenan's still playing really good basketball, as well in 3A. So it'd be interesting to see how they will. And, 1A boys basketball, you got C.A. Johnson, who's just played a murderous row schedule. I mean, they lost to Ridgeview in the Bojangles Bash by like 1 point. That was a classic early season game. So I think 1A basketball is going to be, interesting to see. And that's what's fun about this week. I mean, this week is kind of the first full week of region play. Most of the showcase events are over with. So now it's about the rivals. Like you mentioned, Lexington and Irmo are going to go at each other, tonight. So, Gray Collegiate and BC played each other the other night. That's obviously a rivalry. Coach Larry Davis now at Brooklyn Casey trying to get his program going. So I like what I see early on in Columbia right now.
John Combs joining us. And Coach, we've stayed on the Midlands, but I want to ask you, because I think this is you're our best mind that we can kind of help us wrap our heads around what is going on. Sean McKean at Cane Bay and what they've done. They're off to a 16-1 start. That's in the lower part of the state, but he's a 24-year military vet. I just read about him kind of in this off season. I don't know what you know about him and what Cane Bay is doing, but they've already got wins over Ashley Ridge and Spartan High. It seems like he's really building something. What are you hearing and what do you know about Coach McKean?
Coach McKean works really, really hard. I know him really well. He's an advocate for his players. I mean, I still do a lot with our SCBCA board and different events we put on. He's an advocate for his kids. He's always trying to promote his kids, promote his programs, and do it, the right way. Every once in a while you'll get coaches that they want to promote their kids. They might not be very good, but they're still trying to promote them, which I respect. But Coach McKean works really, really hard. I mean, he drove up. I remember last year we played Sumter in the first round of the playoffs in basketball. Coach McKean came out to scout because he was playing the winner of it. Nowadays people can get the huddle film right after the game, watch the video, but he wanted to travel in person. So I'm not surprised at all that how hard he's worked in the program that he's putting together. I mean, there's a lot of talent down there in Charleston. It's highly competitive. With Goose Creek, Ashley Ridge is really good as well. So, Coach McKean is, I don't want to say slowly, but he's built this program up and up where they're about ready to, hopefully they want to take that next step and, go really deep in the playoffs.
Well, looking at their starting five, or maybe not just their starting five, but some of their key contributors, Andre Hagler at point guard, he's 5'8". I don't know if you know anything about him. I'd love to hear that. Jalil Sanders, 6'2", at point guard as well. Terry Truesdale, 6'1", at small forward. Jarvis Roper, 6'2", at small forward. Then you got power forwards and Mike Smalls at 6'6", Jackson Lilly at 6'8", and then another 6'5", Christian Davis. Their length and is evident.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Here's my connection. I should have brought this up with Cane Bay. Christian Davis is the son of one of my former players, Bobby Davis, who I coached at Silver Bluff High School. And of course, I'm feeling really old when guys that I've coached, Bobby Davis, when my first year as a head coach was at Silver Bluff, this was back in, I think, 03, 04. Bobby Davis made me look like a really good coach at times. And it wasn't anything I was doing. That was because he could flat out play. And his son, Christian, is a really good player, down there in the Charleston area. And I think he's just going to continue to get better. And then you hear about the young man that you said 6'8". Height can be overrated at times. Good height is not overrated. And 6'8", that is if you can figure out how to position them defensively, that is a whole nother animal. Most teams can't practice against. They don't understand it. Like kids struggle against good length, defensively. I mean, most people do. It is what it is. When you're trying to get a shot over a tall guy, it can be really difficult. And I know Coach McKean coaches his guys hard, loves his kids, and they're going to be really tough there in Charleston.
Well, Coach, I can tell you, I have a connection with Bobby Davis. I was calling USC Upstate basketball when he came up there, and if I've got the timing right, I think he was one of those recruits that helped elevate that team into Division I when they made that shift. You might remember that.
Yeah, that was absolutely. Bobby Davis spent 1 year at Hutchinson Junior College, and then he was really my first player that I coached that played at the Division I level. And, it was people like Bobby Davis where I just loved coaching the kid. He worked hard. He was about the right things. And one of the things that's rewarding me as a coach now, seeing him become the father that he is, to say Christian, and how involved that he is. But you're right. Bobby Davis went to, USC Upstate, and, he was, I don't know if people looked at him as a post player or how, but he was a little undersized, but man, he was so athletic.
Well, you say undersized. I remember he could fill up a doorway. He had to walk in sideways through a doorway because his shoulders were so broad.
Well, no, you're right. He was so athletic. He was probably 6'5", 6'6", but he could jump out the gym. But yeah, he was not. You're going to bring up nightmares now. I still have a nightmare of our second round playoff game when I was at Silver Bluff, my first year. And we played Lee Central, and Lee Central had a guy, Mike Holmes, who was really, really good. And we lost in overtime. And that's one of those Bobby Davis outplayed Mike Holmes. The best player on the court that day was Bobby Davis. It wasn't Mike Holmes. And we were just one shot away from winning it. So thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. I'm going to have some nightmares today, but we'll settle that up later.
Well, to finish off, we got to let Coach Combs go. You're welcome on the show at any time. But we do, before we move off of this topic and get to the upstate basketball, Cane Bay is playing Goose Creek, two really good teams tonight in a top 25 matchup. So, Coach Combs, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your podcast that you got going on. You were telling me about that the other day.
Well, thank you. First of all, I do want to encourage people, if you don't have anything going on tonight, go find a high school basketball game to go to. One thing I've learned that these games, the revenue we get from these games is not a ton, but we need everything we can, pay for officials, pay for security. And I also just want to send a quick shout out to, it's unfortunate, tomorrow I'm going to the funeral of a guy, Tacoma Letsom, who was one of our assistant coaches I had at Ridgeview High School. He was our SRO. He just so bravely fought ALS for a number of years, and just recently passed away. And Coach Lett, who I called him, he was a big part of what we did at Ridgeview High School. And he was a guy that was not only a great assistant coach, but he was a great mentor, not only to our kids and the players that we had, but for me as well. So this is an opportunity to honor him and his life. The next couple of days that we do. So I certainly want to spend a special shout out to him, because I think most of our coaches do a really good job of trying to pour into kids and do it for the right reasons. But, I do want to encourage people, go out and see a high school basketball game. Go there's some real, like you mentioned, that Cane Bay Goose Creek game. That's an insanely good game. Most games are maybe $7 or $8 a ticket. Go, and it means the world. And forget about the money part. And don't get me wrong, I think every dollar is important. But these kids play. They just enjoy. These kids enjoy playing in a packed gym. They enjoy when there's fans in there. It makes the environment better. So go out there and see that. And my podcast, I do a podcast called The Southern State of Golf, where we just talk about golf around the South. Different golf experiences. In my past two podcasts, I just recently talked about, had an opportunity to visit the Stream Song Resort down in Florida and Cabot Citrus Farms down in Florida. If you want to hear from an average golfer, well, first of all, if you want to hear from an average golfer, don't listen to me, because I'm not average. I am below average. I'm not very good. I'm just an everyday guy that enjoys going to play golf. If I can play at good venues, I love to do it. Love to play with good people. I love to play with new people. We talk about all sorts of things, different course reviews from all around the South. We talk about, we'll talk about the Masters. We'll talk about, travel. I like to talk food. I like to talk about this brisket smoke melt that I had down at Stream Song that was so good. So, go have a listen on a podcast. It's at Southern State of Golf. Certainly love to have, people listen.
Thanks, Coach. And just to kind of echo your point earlier, I know Coach Trent Robinson mentioned that game was somewhat dedicated Coach Letzum as well, and our condolences for his family and his friends that knew him so well, and I think y'all all feel very blessed on the impact he left on people's lives. So thanks for joining us, Coach. And with that, we're going to go a quick break, and we're going to have Cole Bryson join us to talk Upstate basketball here right after the break.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank y'all very much.
Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture proudly supports high school athletics across South Carolina. If it's time to make your outdoor space the best it can be, with lifetime warranties and guarantees, visit one of our Palm Casual stores in Myrtle Beach, Bluffton, Somerville, or Mount Pleasant. PalmCasual.com. PalmCasual.com. Turn on the lights. It's Friday night.
At Moultrie Insurance, our agents are working for you. Our commercial lines of coverage are well sourced and intimately chosen. We offer commercial lines of coverage such as business owners, umbrella, property, auto, or general liability coverage, and evaluate every option to find what fits you best. Like a good offensive coordinator, we will draw up the plays, but only run with what you feel comfortable. Get in touch with our quarterback, Perry Orth, or our head coach, Frank, by visiting MoultrieINS.com. MoultrieINS.com.
It's the Four Quarter Friday High School Show on the Chief Sports Network. Proudly covering high school athletics across the state of South Carolina with accurate, trusted analysis, in-depth interviews with coaches, media, and players, and quality information. Every Friday at 9 a.m. We're here for you. Proud partner of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association.
Welcome back to the Four Quarter Friday show. We're going to have Mr. Cole Bryson with 97.7 The Fan join us here in a second. And I do believe we are having some technical difficulties. I did take off my filter because it was bugging the heck out of me with all that weird stuff it was doing around the mic. So I'm not ashamed of the Lexington Wildcats. That is one thing. That is for sure. But Cole Bryce is going to join us soon, Matt. And so far, man, this has just been a great episode of digging into basketball and wrestling. And Cole's joining us here, so we'll get him on the screen soon. But what's your take been on that last segment?
Well, I'm always impressed with John Combs. I was impressed with Coach Kimry earlier as well, talking about wrestling. So I encourage everybody to go back. And if you missed any part of this show, go back and check this out, because if you want to support high school athletics, this is one of the ways that we can do it. We can create a bridge between those of you just on your phone on the Chief Sports app, watching anywhere you are. Pick it up on YouTube later, pick it up on the stream later on the Chief Sports app, and support high school athletics through what we do, because we're going to bring you all of these coaches, and we're going to break down some of the big games. As a matter of fact, I've got a quick list here right before we bring Cole in. Cole Bryson from the Fan Upstate, 97.1 FM and 97.7. But East Side plays at Riverside tonight. You know, those two teams don't like each other. It's going to be a killer atmosphere. Fort Mill at Northwestern. So the Fort Mill Yellow Jackets already 3-0 in region play, and they can beat Rock Hill and Northwestern in the span of 4 days. I think that would mean something to the people of Fort Mill. Christ Church is at St. Joseph's. This Christ Church team is 11-1. St. Joseph's is 10-1. And Christ Church, if you missed it, we didn't want to ask Coach Combs, John Combs, about this because he's defending all of his Midlands teams. Christ Church went from Greenville and knocked off Dutch Fork. Dillon is at Loris. So if anybody knows anything about Dillon and Loris in that area, that's certainly a rivalry. Fast twitch athletes everywhere. You've been talking about Goose Creek at Cane Bay. That's 15-1 against 15-1. And how about this one? Tonight on the Fan Upstate, Cole Bryson will have the call. Burns at Spartanburg High School. Do not sleep on the Vikings. Spartan High, number one, is a tough place to play. Number two, they just took Dorman to the wire. And with that, we can turn to Cole because I think he knows Burns is going to have their hands full tonight.
No doubt. What's up, guys? How are you? Doing good?
Yeah, man. Welcome back.
Been a long time, but a little new face over there on the right. So I've got to up my game now with Smitty here, right?
Absolutely not. I'm not even wearing anything from the waist down.
That's really, I really appreciate you putting that thought in my head. Hey, it's
Fully
a big one
relaxed.
tonight, man. Burns, Spartanburg. You mentioned I checked that score the other night, and right at the end of our game, and I think they were down 10 to Dorman, Smitty, and Zach Rich has done a tremendous job at Spartanburg. Just a few years he's been there, but they put together a nice little comeback toward the end of that basketball game, and had Dorman on the ropes. And Spartanburg's done a fantastic job of building a culture. I don't think that's something that they really had, a strong basketball culture, before Zach Rich got there. And then Zach Rich, for those that don't know, spent a lot of time under Thomas Ryan at Dorman. So when you talk about building a basketball culture, if you're going to do it, it's probably a pretty good idea to get a guy from Dorman who comes from a pretty strong culture that Thomas Ryan built. So you're right, Smitty, big game tonight. Burns obviously very, very good, 12-3 on the season as well, but should be a lot of fun tonight.
Cole, I mean, we got a huge game, like y'all said already, but looking at it, we got a top 10 matchup. It's, Burns is coming in ranked number 6, Spartanburg 9, and then you got the girls' side, 1 and 2, respectively. So, I mean, I'm assuming they're going to be playing here soon too, but because they oftentimes don't they play the girls the same week?
Same day, same night, 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock. So I actually said that on the air the other day for those that only follow boys basketball in Region 2 5A. If you only follow boys basketball, you're missing out because those teams in Region 2 5A with Gaffney, Spartanburg's really good. They were undefeated, by the way, until they played Dorman the other night. So Spartanburg's a very good basketball team on the girls' side. Dorman's really, really good, as they always are. Burns is really, really good with Missy Fowler. Gaffney gets a new head coach on the girls' side and Bubba Wright. They're really, really good as well. Burns, Gaffney the other night on the girls' side went down to the wire. Bubba Wright following in the footsteps of Mark Huff. So big shoes to follow there. But that Region 2 5A, for as good as it is on the boys' side, I actually asked Missy Fowler on air the other night. I said, "Do you think this is the toughest this region's been?" And she said, "Yeah, maybe so, because it's loaded, man." I think Dorman on the girls' side is kind of the class of the region, much like the boys' side. Shocker, right? But man, Burns and Gaffney and Spartanburg and Bowling Springs as well, like that region's stacked on the girls' side. So anybody who goes to these games and doesn't get there at 6 to watch the girls, you're missing out. It's really, really high level basketball.
All right, let me hit a quick exit ramp off of basketball for a second, Cole, because I saw on social media you put this out right away. And this means something. This name means something to people in the upstate. Schuler Bentley is returning to Duncan. He's going to join Burns as the offensive coordinator. And I saw you jumped on that, wrote a story about that. So what can you tell? Do you know how that happened, how that came to be? Because that name Bentley still resonates in Duncan.
Yeah, you don't think Burns fans are excited about that, do you? It's a big story, obviously, because of what you just said, Smitty, that name. And when you talk about the high-powered offense, the architect of that high-powered offense was Bobby and Schuler. Bobby was the coach. His dad, who's now coaching up in the Brentwood area, coaching high school football, just won another state championship up there, by the way. But Schuler was his quarterback. And Schuler played, his last year was 2011. And all the Burns fans know just how good Schuler Bentley was. You're talking about a guy who still, to this day, has several records in the South Carolina record books right now. 71 touchdowns in his senior season. Just an incredible quarterback for Burns High School. So he goes off, plays at Old Dominion, Smitty, spends a few years at the college ranks with a couple of different teams, including where you are at Coastal Carolina. He was there for a short stint. 3 different college stints he was at, and then is most recently he was coaching quarterbacks and offensive coordinator at Montgomery Christian, or Montgomery Catholic rather, in Montgomery, Alabama. So last year, Burns was very, very good defensively, and they had some weapons offensively. Especially when you talk about Trey Segura, as highly touted as that kid is. And it just so happened at the end of the year, Jordan Dura, the former Burns offensive coordinator, stepped away from football, from coaching altogether, and that opened an opportunity, that opened the door for Reggie Shaw, Smitty, and Steve to go get their next OC. And it just so happened that the timing worked out, that Schuler Bentley wanted to get back toward the area, wanted to come back home. And, Reggie Shaw's had some good teams, but you look at this past year, that offense, for whatever reason, got worse as the season went on. Against Dutch Fork, the defense did all they could do, in the semifinals game to keep their team in the game, and ended up losing the game 21-0. But the parallels are interesting. That Dutch Fork loss, I think, sparked something in Reggie Shaw, Smitty, that told him that he's got to go get somebody that can develop quarterbacks. But the parallel that's funny is Schuler Bentley's last game ever at Burns was also a loss to Dutch Fork in the semifinals. So it just worked out. In sports and hirings, timing is more important than people realize. And the timing of this worked out. Schuler Bentley is such a staple in the Duncan Burns community because of what he did. And man, the excitement is already just, I wish you could see my phone. And I'm not even on the coaching staff, right? But it's been a wild few days, and the transfer portal in high school football and high school sports now, guys, as you know, where you can get one free transfer. The Bentley effect is already having its way. It is official today that Riverside quarterback Gideon Marab, who's a pretty good quarterback, has transferred to Burns as well. So I don't think that'll be the only transfer this offseason, but a huge hire for Burns to get back to where they want to be. It's been 2011, guys, since they were last in a state championship game. So they needed something to kind of spark the future, and they're bringing in a piece of the past to do so.
Cole, appreciate you coming on again, and I appreciate everything you do for our state and the upstate for high school athletics. And before we get you out of here, we got to talk about Colt Fowler. Gets a lot of publicity for the Burns Rebels boys basketball team, the son of Coach Fowler. Who else should we be looking out for tonight as they go against Spartanburg here in the upstate?
Well, they're really good. Burns is, and you mentioned Colt Fowler. He's one of the best guards at the high school level I've seen. I mean, he is just unbelievable. If you haven't seen him play, I can't tell you. If you're a basketball lover, if you love the game of basketball, you've got to see Colt Fowler play. He's exceptional. I think he's got as good as vision as I've seen at the high school level. Obviously, he can shoot the lights out as well. But Suki Singh's a big part of that team, and Fabian McClintock. I mean, every Batman has to have a Robin, right? And Colt Fowler is only as good as those around them. And Suki Singh and Fabian McClintock are really important pieces. Now, mind you, for Burns, Cam Hack transferred in from J.L. Mann last year. He was supposed to be their Robin, right? Their second guy in command. And he broke his hand early in the season back in December. So they're going to be without him most of the season. But they still have a lot of really good pieces. Lane Fowler does a tremendous job. And a big one tonight, Region 2 5A is a gauntlet. And if I may, real quick, I want to say, Steve and Smitty, one team that I don't want to leave this podcast without mentioning in Inman, South Carolina, a team that's flying way under the radar is Chapman. Jared St. Charles has done an amazing job in his short tenure at Chapman High School. These guys, I mean, they can ball. And they've got guys like Graydon Humphreys and Hawkins Smith who are just having an exceptional year. Guys, this is an 11-3 Chapman team that has not begun region play yet. They do tonight at Greer Middle College. But I did not want to leave the show without saying, if you want a team to watch, a sneaky team, watch Chapman, because Jared St. Charles has done a terrific job there in his short tenure.
Man, that's gold. Thank you, Cole. We got to hit the Inside the Gamecock show. It's a great Friday. Everybody loves the Friday show. And please make sure you like, subscribe, follow, even dislike our video on YouTube if you want to. If you don't like this thing, just give us a thumbs down. I don't care. But hit us up on all our socials. We got a link tree on our Twitter profile that you can find where you can follow us everywhere, Spotify, Apple. And please make sure you follow the new page for Inside the Gamecock show. We got a new Spotify and a new Apple link that you can follow as we have made a few changes here coming into 2026. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Smitty. We'll see you next week.
From the Low Country to the Upstate, from the Midlands to the PD, we've got you covered. This is our state. South Carolina matters to us, all of South Carolina. We love talking ball, and we love talking ball with you. Thank you for tuning into the 4 Quarter Friday High School Show. Every Friday at 9 a.m. on the Chief Sports Network. Proudly presented by the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association.